How do you like it? How do you like it? I don't know why that song is in my head, but anyway, I wanted to come and talk about something very deep, very quick, and you know, is going to be like something that people don't usually talk about. So I'm going to be the first person to talk on this. But I'm also going to help, I'm going to talk about it in a spiritual form as well. It was just going across my mind today. Like I was watching some program and I was looking at, Africans, okay? These Africans from Nigeria, West Africans from Nigeria, these West Africans from Ghana, and other places of the globe. I don't say too much about people from like South Africa or the North Africans or the East Africans or anything like that because I've never really been that much around that kind of people from Africa. But I do know these Nigerians and these ones from Ghana, West Africans that come over here with they student visas and everything, because usually the ones that's from other places they stay among themselves in their own little village in their own little community, and they mostly just deal with their own African, roots and their own African community. But those Nigerians and those doggone Ghanaians, those ones from Africa, they come to America and they want to think they are the sugar honey iced tea. And they really like to talk a lot of crap about American black people. But I'm going to give them a news flash here, okay? Because they got so much, they walk around like they sugar honey don't stink, okay? They try to blend in with American culture and they always trying to be in competition with the American black woman. And she seems to always go a little extra than the American black woman does because they carry a lot of insecurities, a lot of self hate with them because they know they men been out here in America before they brought them here, that they were with American women and they abandon those American families they had and they go back to their country, they get married, and then they bring their own kind over to the United States of America for they could get in here for as a passport. So anyway, I'm kind of glad that President Trump and the immigration is cracking down on these marriages of convenience, that these Africans are coming over here getting married and trying to marry for citizenship. And I'm so glad that ICE is now just don't care how long you've been here. You've been here 30 years, but you're not still married to the wife that you got married to become citizens in the United States. They cracking down on that. They no longer going to look at that as legal for you to marry just to be in the United States of America and then go off and marry again from your own country and then bring your family here and raise a family here. They're going to consider those children to be anchor babies. Okay? They're going to go down as the anchor babies because no longer will America be allowing people to come here to try to manipulate our immigration laws. You came here for a visa to go to school. You came here to go to school. But if you feel you're going to marry your wife here in the United States, you're going to have to take her back to Africa with you. That's what they're going to say. If y'all get married, the wife got to go with her husband back to his country and live over there for 5 or 6 or whatever years before you can come back with your husband to the United States of America. They're going to switch the game. They're going to switch it up. You know why? Because they going to do it to the way where you can't come here and try to gain access into the United States of America, marrying these women and abandoning them and leaving these babies in the system and leaving that black mother by herself to raise that child on her own, and it becomes a population of it in the United States of America because these fatherless children who don't know who their dads are, don't know their lineage, grow up and they become rebellious. And who has to deal with the problem? We do. We got to house them, feed them, educate them, and give them the medical and the health care that they need, especially to treat their mental illness. Okay, all of that is funding through the American government. So you want to get married, have a family, a person from a different nation. The President Trump and the new administration, they're going to change some of these laws in America, and especially when it comes to um, marriage. God is going to give him, okay, that mind to change that law, because y'all not going to continue to come here and dump illegitimate children in America without really having a marriage of a covenant marriage. Okay, you could get married, but your husband or whatever wife you got married to, even you black men out here marrying these African women, so y'all could give them citizenship, let you go live over there in their country first for the 5 or whatever years, as long as that marriage is a covenant, just to see if that marriage is real. They're gonna send you right back to that country. You could go right back to that country with your husband and your wife, and stay over there for 5 years, so y'all don't be dumping on no American anchor babies on America. For we to have to pick up the slack, the house, feed, clothes, educate, and give them health care. Okay? Because they going to have some mental health issues. And I'm going to go over some things because I was thinking about, my life growing up myself, being married to a Nigerian man. Thank God that didn't happen to me. We didn't have a family, no nothing. He went on with his life. He remarried now. He got himself a Nigerian woman. And the timing of the marriage when it's supposed to happen, I question it, because at that time when he got married to that woman, we weren't legally divorced. We weren't legally divorced at the time that he married that woman. And that's where the messy part hits in. So that's why immigration need to change their laws. It need to be changed on marriage. If you marry somebody from another country or whatever like that, you should be able to go live in their country for at least 5 or so years until for that marriage to be claimed as a legal marriage. But anyway, this is what I wrote, because I know there's some African men that came here, they got with these American women, they had children with them, and then they turned around and they abandoned those kids, not only just in marriage, but sometimes even in dating them. They abandoned their families, they abandoned their children, because they didn't want to be with the mothers no more, because they already had um, been engaged or some kind of arranged marriage back in their country. And then they abandoned that woman and they left those children. And some of the children, because of the mother growing up being already in a traumatic, all right, let me just share a story with you about a friend of mine's, not even a friend, I'll say an acquaintance. Young black girl used to hang out with me. You know, you young, you ain't got no real close. You have friends, but you know what? Silly, stupid things happen, and y'all just don't be friends no more. But anyway, but we knew each other. Okay, and what happened is that she was already a foster child, right? She was already a foster child. And she already came from a painful situation of a broken life, a broken home life. Her mother wasn't taking care of, she was with a foster mother. And the foster mother or whatever like that was losing control of her. So what the foster mother had to do, well, the foster mother got so used to it, the foster mother still kept her. She ended up getting pregnant, the first child, but it was with her, boyfriend or whatever, from a little boyfriend thing. She was young. She was about 16 when she had her first child. So because the father of her and that child wasn't getting along, and she was getting mad at him whenever he was trying to move on and be with another girl, It was always a lot of fighting going on, a whole lot of things going on. So that's when the um she ended up putting her child in foster care. That was the first child. But because of her being so young, she put him up for an adoption. She put the child up for adoption because the father of the child or whatever was young too. So the father of her child's dad, had to get his son away from her because she was really a really sick girl. She was a really angry teenage girl. She was dangerous. She was troubled. She had a very troubled life. So then she meets this African man. And when she meets this African man, she falls so highly in love with him. Right, she falls in love with the African man. And she ended up dating that African. And I told her like this, because what is right for me may not be right for you, and da 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 da. I'm not a cause see, I know who I am. I had my parents, Well, my dad was already gone, but I'm saying as far as like I still had a family support system. I had a very strong family support system. So you just can't be going around here marrying these foreigners and don't even know who they are, okay? And you don't really have a family support system. So anyway, so she ended up falling in love with this African whatever. She's a young girl. She's lost young girl out in the world. She already got a troubled life going on. So what happens? She ended up getting pregnant by the African, the Yoruba African man, and he doesn't want anything more to do with her. He just don't. He thinks he calls her crazy. Blah 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 blah. Of course, she's young and she's kind of like, oh, I'm being abandoned again. So she flips out. So what she ended up having to do is she ended up trying to kill him. She tried to stab him, whatever, whatever. So what takes place is that now this child has to be removed from her custody. Do he take on the responsibility to take care of this child? No, he do not. He could have took the child and took the child back to his country, to Nigeria or whatever, if he wanted to save the life of that child. But you know what? He just abandoned her, abandoned the child, and the child is in the system. I don't know whatever happened to the child. Me and her, it was a long time ago, but I'm just telling you some stories that I know up front. Okay, that has happened in the culture of Nigerians and Ghanaians coming to the United States of America, and they get themselves attached. They get themselves involved with these young girls that's probably coming from a broken home. To me, it's like sex trafficking, you could say. Okay, it kinds of go in that kind of, it's like manipulation and preying on them. They see you taking advantage of them. You see the disadvantages they have. So this is your way to come into the United States. This is your way to passport to the United States. And this is what President Trump is basically trying to crack down on. Okay, because a lot of these people, and I'm only going to talk on the Africans. I know it's probably happening with some other people as well too, that find these foreign husbands and they start marrying them so they could get citizenship in the United States of America, and they have children with them, and then they get welfare, food stamps, child care, and then grant money like that. And that's what they've been doing. So I wrote something up here, and I think I wrote The Forgotten in America, the Cultural War. And I said, in America, the divide between foundational black Americans and some African immigrants run deeper than people are willing to admit. The problem is not just about culture, it's about recognition and respect. We, as black Americans, have fought through centuries of oppression, from slavery to segregation to systemic racism. Every freedom we enjoy today was built on the sacrifice, faith, and resilience of our ancestors. Yet, when some Africans come to the country, they insult us, look down on us, and act as though they are better, forgetting that the very soil they walk on was watered by our blood, tears, and our faith. Their struggles were in Africa, among their own tribal division, while ours have always been with white supremacy and the structures designed to destroy our families. What hurts most is that some of them come here and align themselves with the very system that once enslaved and oppressed us, worshiping the same power that denied us justice. I know this pain firsthand. I was married to a Nigerian man who constantly belittled black American men. He said they were lazy, unmotivated, and irresponsible, and for a time I believed him. I was young and naive. But as I grew, I saw the truth for myself. My father, my brothers, and the men in my community were hardworking, faithful, and committed to their families. Meanwhile, I watched some of his Nigerian brothers exploit vulnerable American women, using them as a ticket into the United States of America, well, into America. They married them, had children, and once they got what they wanted, they abandoned them. These young women, already struggling from childhood trauma, were left broken, and many lost their children to the system. Those children grew up without fathers, disconnected from their identity, and angry at a world that left them behind. Now they're adults, the forgotten generation. The same fathers who left them know exactly where they are. They could reach out if they wanted to, but they don't. They live under new names with new wives and raise new families as if their first children never exist. But God sees it all. You cannot turn from the pain you caused. You cannot hide behind a new culture, a new identity. Those abandoned children remember, and that truth will one day meet you face to face. That's why many of them don't identify with those who carry their pain. Spirit knows, and when something is not of God, it cannot connect to what is true. I thank God that I was blessed to know my father, a strong black American man who provided, protected, and led this family. But many in this new generation were not as fortunate. Too many were left behind by foreign fathers who walked away and never looked back. Now we have a generation growing up disconnected from their true roots, searching for love and belonging in a world that's already cold. You can't call that strength or success. You left your own seed in pain. And one day that truth will rise because what's hidden will be revealed. And then I put scriptures here as far as for nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come aboard. Luke 8:17. And he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers. Malachi 4 and 6. But if any provide not for his own, especially for those of his own house, he have denied the faith. First Timothy 5 and 8. So what I'm saying is that the problem in America, we have a problem, yes, problem with the system here, with the broken families, the black woman, the black man, the families being separated and divided and abandoned by the fathers. But at least those children and those fathers reconcile because they on the same soil. Even if he go off and have another family, you can do you can find his you can find where he is. The mother can find the father in America. Even if he goes and remarry and everything. That's why we have paternity court. Remember paternity court, right? She can still send out a paper and get him for child support. his identity and everything. She knows his social security number. All she gotta do is give a name, and the system will just pick him up, boom, just like that in the United States of America. Or else he'll go to jail for child support, whatever. They'll garnish his paycheck. So some of them will choose not to work just so that they don't get caught by the government. They're gonna get caught either way. Either they're gonna get caught by the government for selling drugs on the street. They might end up even being incarcerated, one way or the other. And while they incarcerated, they're gonna throw more charges on his black behind because he didn't pay his child support. So he's gonna get a little bit more time for his child support and whatever other crime he might have committed while he was trying to dodge the system. Okay? There's no way out. Like the Lord said, there's no way out but death. Okay? Because while you here, you're gonna live and you're gonna live up to your sins. So that's what the black American father might do. But these African fathers, okay, they come here with a different name, a different identity, all of that. Then they go back and they change their name and switch it up and make their name more African. And then they try to have asset back into the United States and remarry and have a whole new family. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the way they do things. Those Nigerians, I know, I lived it. I know what I'm talking about. I know how they move through this. They try to play the American government, the American system, and I believe President Trump is on it too. He's on to it, and they mad. The man been around for 70 something years, and how long he's been doing business. He's not no spring chicken, and he just say it raw. Call him a racist, call him whatever, but he knows the game that y'all play on these black American on the black um, American people in America. Put it that way. Y'all don't do it as much as y'all to African. I mean the white. Let put it this way. Y'all don't do it as much to any other culture of people the way y'all prey on the black woman in America. Y'all don't do that to Latino women, and y'all don't do it to white women. Y'all will marry a white woman and y'all will treat her on a pedestal. Y'all will make sure y'all take her back to your family to show off your new white wife. For real, for real, for real. That's what they do. But when it comes to a black American woman, they treat her like the lowest of the class of anything, unless she's really sitting on top of her game and she's really successful and she really have a great career going for herself. It might work a little different for her. But other than that, when they go into these hoods, like the Chicago ghettos and the New York City ghettos and LA ghettos, or down there in Atlanta ghettos, or wherever they go in the poorest places of America where black people live, and they hook up with those black women out there, you better trust and believe he's only looking to get into the United States of America. He ain't gonna take you back home and put you on no pedestal, and he ain't gonna marry you and make you feel like you are queen of the crop. Okay? That's how they build their lives in America. That's why they don't go back to Nigeria. And they talk so much shit about American people, excuse my language, because I caught on to that. Because I said, dang, my husband used to talk real dog. He used to really drag black American men. He really did. Yes, he did. And then I used to wonder why he do that. And then now I see it more as I grew older. I didn't really understand it back then. I was down with it too, like listening to him. But now that I don't moved on and remarried, he got a new life and everything too. But now I see it more. I see it more of the difference in us and their culture and how they feel about us. So the foundational black Americans, I was really like, I don't feel that way too much about the Jamaicans. I don't feel that way about the Jamaicans because I've been around the Jamaican culture, the Trinidadian culture, and their culture kind of more blend closer to the southern culture of American black Americans. Like people from Jamaica, people from Trinidad, and people from places like Guyana, whatever. Their culture kind of blends a lot more with our culture from the South, like from places like Louisiana, Charleston, you name it, more of Southern culture of Black American lives in the South. Then we blend with those people from Africa. Africa is a very far, long way away from on another side of the world. But Jamaica is an island, so they kind of culture is more blended in with our American Southern culture. So I don't really have that kind of. I never really had that kind of issue with Jamaican men because most people that was Jamaican and they got married to an American, they usually stay in they stay with their wives and they have their families and everything right here and build a life together with their American wife or the American family or whatever. But those damn Africans, they always like. Even my husband he used to always, when it was my family time, the gatherings with my family and everything, he always used to really try to act shady about it. But when it came the time to be around his people and everything, oh, he loosened up about that. He was always excited. But when it came to be around my family, it was always some stuff he would like say to like put down the black men in the community and of my family and everything. When his brothers and everything, those alcoholics and those pedophiles, because some of them dating little girls, girls that were young enough to be their goddamn daughters, because that's what they do in their culture anyway. But anyway, I ain't not gonna go back and do no reflection on that. But I just wanted to just share this tonight on my in a live tonight because that's a lot of stuff that we don't just use our gifts of discernment. Maybe because I didn't see it then because I wasn't that much into my word. I had my foundation of my Christian faith and everything, but I didn't read my Bible like I should. I went to church. I was just one of those go to church girls. Okay? I went to church because it was something traditional that I did. But as I started growing older in the world, I started opening my Bible a lot more. And I started reading. After I started dealing with a whole lot more painful things, situations in my life, I had to get closer to the Word of God, or else I don't know where I'll be. But I'm just saying it saved me. And the more I read about it and the more I reflect on some things personal that I had done in my own life to share the testimony of the Lord and where He brought me through to and where He brought me from, I just can't help but, you know, give a testimony about it, tell somebody else about it, and also share my own personal experience so somebody out there else can be saved. Especially now that I get a better understanding about some of the cultural war with the Africans and the American black people. They saying we the same. No, we not the same. No, we are not the same. Your problems is if your identity of with who you are, but we know who we are, and we are not trying to say we are the same. The only thing that makes us the same is our skin color. Other than that, we are not the same. Our way of thinking is different. Our way of thinking in the system is different than the way they think. Only thing they look like is the skin color and maybe even our hair. But other than that, we are not the same. Our experiences are different. And our lineage is different. It's very different. And I'm just saying, a lot of these angry young men that's growing up in America, that's because they were abandoned and they were messed up in the system. Those are the children forgotten. Those are the children who are angry with the fathers that abandoned them. So with that being said, I gotta go. God bless you. I love you. And peace. Hit the like button on your way in and on your way out. I'm sorry I couldn't stay long, but you could go back and hear the replay of this video. It's educational. It's something that people should know about. And it's something people need to speak more about. For the healing. For the healing and for those wounds to be healed. Those wounds are going to be there, but for you to heal from the wounds. Okay? So